Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. We are live, everybody. No intro today. We're going straight to it. It's a jam-packed show, jam-packed live stream. If you're hanging out today, say hello in the chat. If you're new here, my name is Josh. I go live every single Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. We call it Claims Recruiter Office Hours. Doing something a little bit different this week. Pretty excited about it. We're doing Resumepalooza. We are doing an entire live stream. Episode number 25. I gotta change my number. Oh my goodness. Episode number 25. We're doing the entire live stream. Dedicated to resume building. So if you are out there in the world of job seeking, you need help with your resume, this stream is for you. The first thing that I would recommend you to do is go to crewtalentgroup.com and sign up to join the Crew Talent Network, and it's going to send you a free resume template. I updated it over this weekend, so Bailey, I see you in the chat. I'm not sure if you have the newest, most updated resume that I'm going to go over here, so maybe I'll send that to you if you're interested, only if you want. But I spent some time over the weekend kind of updating things. It didn't make massive changes. The bones are all still kind of the same, but want to make sure you get the most updated one. So I might send that to you. I see you're in the chat. So, but yeah, if you want to follow along today, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be going over resume tips. This is a weekly live stream. I go live every single Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, and the whole goal is to help 100 people in the year 2026 get jobs in the insurance industry. Obviously, as a recruiter, I'm not able to, recruit 100 people a year. I can only recruit what the clients that I'm currently working for are looking for. However, this is kind of this is the idea, is to be able to help job seekers in any way I can. So that's the whole point of this live stream. Yeah, let me send you that really quick so you can follow along. Here we go. It's not super different. I just give you a link. Okay, awesome. Thanks so much for tuning in. I did just send that to you. But yeah, this is the Claims Recruiter Office Hours weekly live stream. Again, if you are just tuning in, we are going to go over top to bottom how to build a resume. I got one quick little reaction video to start, just to kind of start things off, get the conversation going, and then you will jump into it. And then if we have time at the end, we're going to do a fun little activity that me and Claude have prepared for you. We'll see if we get time for that. It's going to be jam-packed. So I'm going to take a sip of coffee. It's a beautiful day here in Portland, Oregon. Wonderful day. 90 degrees. It's going to be a hot summer day. I'm going to hit the beach later. Okay, let's get to it. First off, I got a little reaction video. On a video about resumes from our friend on TikTok. Anna, I don't know how to spell it, her last name. Anna Papalia. Check her out on TikTok, LinkedIn, all the social medias. Really good content in terms of resume building, job seeking, all that stuff. Check out Anna. Let's react to this video quick.
Things I don't want to see on your resume in under a minute. An objective. I know what your objective is. It's to get a job. I'd rather see a summary, summarize your work experience. I also don't need to see your home address, just an email address and a phone number. Under your professional experience, in your bullets, when you write, I worked at blah, 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 I never, ever want to see the word I. Just take it off and just lead with worked or consulted with or whatever it is. I is implied. I never ever want to see irrelevant skills. I don't care about your volunteer experience, especially if it has nothing to do with this job. No, it doesn't make you look well-rounded. And no, I don't care about your personality. At this point in the process, I'm just making sure you have the skills to pass you on to the interview. You don't need to tell me that I can request your references. I know I can do that. And lastly, and this is the most important thing ever, if you forget everything I taught you, it's this. Save your resume as your name, Joe Smith. That's it. I receive thousands of resumes and they're all saved as resume.
Hey, what up, Anthony? Thanks so much for tuning in. Everyone, check out Adjuster Insights on Facebook and the Discord group. If you're an adjuster, especially an independent adjuster, awesome place to be. If you're just tuning in, we're going to do all resume stuff today. Resumepalooza, reaction video, Anna right there. Let's go through that really quick. I know she went kind of fast there, so I want to break down just a couple things. I'm going to pause a little bit here as we go through this video.
Things I don't want to see on your resume in under a minute. An objective. I know what your objective is. It's to get a job. I'd rather see a summary.
Boom. Love this tip. Great tip. There are certain times where I think it makes sense to put an objective, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. So I kind of disagree with this one a little bit, but for the most part, 90% of people don't need an objective, right? We know what your objective is. So I understand where she's coming from. Little nuanced take, though. There's certain times where it makes sense. If you're switching industries, if you're doing something totally different, if you're going from an IA job to a W-2 full-time position, it's nice to kind of spell that out for people. Hey, I know it doesn't look like this is what I'm going for, but explaining that. Anyways, we'll go on.
Summarize your work experience. I also don't need to see your home address. Just
so many people put their home address on their resume. Do not put your home address on your resume. Know that if you do that, someone at that company could potentially go up and look your home address up, right? They don't need to see that you live in an apartment, that you live with your parents, that you live in a nice mansion. Doesn't matter. It's not going to help you. It's only going to hurt you.
An email address and a phone number. Under your professional experience, in your bullets, when you write I worked at blah blah blah, I never ever want to see the word I. Just take it off and just lead with worked or consulted with or whatever it is. I is implied. I never
see
ever
this
want
constantly.
to see relevant skills. I don't care about your volunteer experience, especially if it has nothing to do with this job. No, it doesn't make you look well-rounded.
That's one that I see all the time. People want to put like all this stuff about their volunteer experience, their background, all these. I know it. I understand the urge to do it. I understand like when you're growing up or in high school or in college, like it makes sense to put it. It makes you look like it does look good, but for professional level jobs, it doesn't really add anything. It's great. I think it's awesome that you go and, Big Brother, do Special Olympics, like cool stuff, but it doesn't necessarily like, it's never going to be a deciding factor between you getting a call back or not.
And no, I don't care about your personality. At this point in the process, I'm just making sure you have the skills to pass you on to the interview.
It's so true. Okay, so it sounds harsh, but the truth is, in the interview, and we'll end it there. Great video. I know she went on to talk about the naming conventions of your resume, which we'll talk about. But the truth of it is, the purpose of your resume has one purpose. No one is going to hire you because of your resume. The purpose of your resume is to get you an interview. That's where you're going to shine. That's where they're going to see if you're a culture fit. That's where they're really going to dig into your skills and your experience. Your job with the resume is just to get you the chance to have that conversation. And so everything else that we're going to talk about today is with that purpose in mind. I talk a lot on this channel and on LinkedIn and online about how I don't really love the current situation in terms of like hiring and talent acquisition. As a job seeker, you sometimes feel like you're applying into just a black hole and no one's ever looking at your resume, and it's just this, it's not really working for anyone. I think the traditional method of getting jobs where you go to Indeed.com, you apply for a job, you get a call back, it just doesn't happen like that, like it maybe used to. And so I will always pound the table and advocate that conversations are going to be more valuable than mass applying and easy applying online and doing these things. However, I understand that a resume is an essential part of the job. And so I get a lot of questions about resumes, how to tailor your resume, how to make your resume look better. And so that's the purpose of this. We're going to go through it. We're going to talk about it all right now. I'm going to go through as fast as I can. Probably going to spend way too much time on it. But that's the truth. The point of your resume is to get you a conversation, get you to the interview phase. And that's where you're going to shine. That's where you're going to knock it out of the park. But we got to make sure you get there. And so having a professional resume is an easy step. Most people aren't very good at making resumes because they don't have to do it very often. You make a resume every 6 years, you're not going to be very good at it. And so I do this every single day. I view these every single day. I look at these. I talk to hiring managers. I talk to other people who look at resumes every single day. And so the whole goal here is to try and help people out, build it up. Get my resume template for free. Head over to crewtalentgroup.com, join the Crew Talent Network. It will send you this exact resume template both free. Before we get into that, quick update, Hear You Winning. I'd just like to shout out people that listen to the show, my friends, anybody out there getting jobs, doing well, people that I see. So a couple people in my life that I've seen get jobs. Shout out Hannah. Hannah, local here, PDX. Let's shout out to 503, Portland, Oregon, getting a new job. Shout out Hannah. And then shout out Andrea, getting a new job this week. Saw that on LinkedIn. So just wanted to shout out a couple people in my network. Killing it, crushing it. Hope to hear about you winning in the future. So send me your wins. Love to shout you out live. Put your wins in the chat. Let's keep moving on. Okay, we're gonna do it here. Again, I'm gonna move through this pretty quick. Gotta switch screens. Gotta change this. Boom, boom, boom. If you have any questions throughout, want to chime in, have anything to add, anything specific to your situation you'd like to talk about, feel free to drop it in the chat. This is totally interactive. This is for you, whoever's watching, with 1 or 1 million people out there. I don't even care. This is for you. So if you have questions, specific things you want to go through, specific scenarios you want to talk through, this is your time. Drop it in the chat. If you're just want to say what's up. Say what's up. Love to hear from you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Let's get to it. Okay. Let's see how this. Okay. So this is my resume template in a Word document. Again, crewtalentgroup.com, join the Crew Talent Network. This gets to your inbox for free immediately. So if you want this template for free, $0, that's how you get it. If you can't figure it out, DM me, I'll send it to you. Don't care. Totally free. It's yours. I want to share this with as many people as I can. Let's zoom in just a little bit here. Okay, the first thing I want to just say is this is optimized for people looking for full-time claims adjusting roles. This is not optimized for independent adjusters. Okay. I know there's a lot of independent adjusters out there that tune in, and I talk to a lot of IAs out there. And so the reason why this isn't optimized for independent adjusting, I don't like using the word resume if you're an independent adjuster. I understand that that's kind of like the nomenclature that we use. It's what you see on applications and all that stuff. But as an independent adjuster, you're not a traditional employee. You're not applying for a job. You're going out and soliciting companies to hire you to do work. And so you don't need to think about it as much as a resume. It's more of like marketing for your business or business development for you as an independent adjuster. And so the traditional resume as it stands or as it is, could this work for you? It sure could, but I think there's probably better ways to do business development and to think about it differently than, hey, I'm applying to a job. So I just want to point that out to begin with. It's not as optimized for independent adjusters looking for independent adjusting work. We are going to talk about independent adjusters kind of at the end, about if you're looking to transfer into full-time work and how I would recommend angling your experience on this resume. I just want to put that disclaimer out there. Okay, so the first thing we're going to work through on this resume is, I guess, just talking about general formatting. When you look at this resume, it looks really boring. And that's exactly what we want. The idea of this resume template and of any resume that you see is a couple things. We want it to be easy to read very quickly. The average recruiter looks at your resume for 6 to 8 seconds before deciding if they want to talk to you or if they don't. And we'll do a little exercise at the end, so I'll show you how this works. But that's all I really need to understand if I need to move forward with you or not. About 6 to 8 seconds, if you can believe it. So what we want to do as someone building a resume is we want to control the flow. And one of the ways that we do that is having a one column, really boring looking resume. They're going to look, when I build a resume like this, I know exactly how someone's eyes are going to look. They're going to start at the top. They're going to look at your name here. Let's see your name here. They're going to look at your name. They're going to look at this. They're going to then go down to the professional summary. They're going to read that quick, and they're going to slowly move down, because it's a logical way to kind of move down through the resume. If you have a fancy 2-column Canva resume that's got all these different sections, you can't really predict where their eyes are going to go. You can't really control that. So that's what we're doing with this 1-column resume. It looks really boring. It looks really lame. That's okay. That's what we want. They're going to look at it. They're going to spend 6 to 8 seconds, and we're controlling exactly the flow of how they're going to look at it. And we'll talk about that even more in a second. But the first thing we're going to do is we're not going to mess up this top section. It's the easiest part. And this resume template is built. So basically, highlighted this stuff in gray. You're going to just take that out when you're done, right? Let's save this quick. Okay. So now I can mess with this. So when you're done with this stuff and you're working on this, you can just delete that, right? Okay. So anyways, back to it. Your name. You're going to do your name, first name, last name. If you have professional designations that apply in the industry, you can put those at the end of your name. I'm talking about things like your AIC, your CPCU, your ARM, legitimate designations. You don't need to put exact one certified up here. You don't need to put that you took pilots 10-day boot camp up here. Those are things that we're going to put on a resume, but we're just not going to do it up here, if that makes sense. You can put professional designations. I don't why people do that, how it started, I have no idea. It's kind of weird to me, but it's very well accepted in the industry, so you could do that. Okay. Just like Anna said in her video, city, state, you don't need to put your whole address here, city, state, but you do need to put city, state. You will be shocked as to how many people don't put where they live on their resume, and sometimes that's a deal breaker. So you need to put city, state on your resume. You also then need to put a professional email on your resume. Emphasis on the professional resume. One of the things I see very often is, you know, people don't want to be discriminated against based on age, and then they'll put first last 66 at gmail.com as their name. It's illegal for employers to discriminate against you based on age on your resume, or just in general. It's illegal. That being said, it certainly happens. And so one way, just something that I see is putting your birth date year at the end of your email is super common. So if you want to avoid that, just a heads up, shout out from a friendly recruiter. It's not right. I'm not saying it's okay that people do that. I'm definitely saying it happens. Phone number, pretty self-explanatory. LinkedIn, you can put that on there optional. Okay, next section. She talked about it, Anna, in our little video at the beginning. I'm going to talk about it here too. Professional summary. So this section, I see a lot of people do this as like a one large paragraph. I don't like it. I don't read it. I don't go through it. I don't make it there. It doesn't happen for me, right? So I like it short and choppy. Again, 6 to 8 seconds is all a recruiter is spending on your resume on average. So that entire paragraph bullet, section that people put as their professional summary would take me 6 to 8 seconds to read, which tells you that I'm probably not going to read it. So I've created a framework here for you to use, and I've also created examples, but I like 3 quick bullet points, right? These 3 bullet points are going to be found later in your resume. This is not, you're going to see the same information later, but this is like the 3 most hard hitting things that you want a hiring manager or recruiter to see. So if you crush this project and save your company $20 million and did this huge thing and it was incredible, it needs to be right here. It needs to be up at the top. It needs to be the first thing I see. The most impressive things about you, the most eye-popping, the most eye-catching things on your resume, you're basically regurgitating them right here at the front. And you're going to talk about them again later, probably. They're going to be in your description, but you want those things front and center. The first bullet points start with who you are, a clear summary of your experience, including total years, industry, line of business handled, types of clients you've supported. Again, this is just a quick overview of your career at this point. Licensed property and casualty adjuster with 14 years of experience across auto, physical damage, complex auto, liability, and commercial GL. Progressed from independent CAT and daily appraisal work to national carrier roles. So again, that's an example. I made it up, but it's basically outlining your entire experience in one line. Right, and it's eye-catching. It's talks about all the different lines that you've worked, different types of companies that you've worked, different types of claims that you've handled, all that stuff, all in one line. Next bullet: highlight measurable and quantifiable results, efficiency gains, claim volume, reduced cycle times, outcomes, metrics. Again, if you worked the same job for 7 years, you've got these killer metrics that you can pull from your claims management system and dump them into your resume, saying how awesome you were as an adjuster. you're going to put that in your professional experience, but the top one, you're going to add at the top. Or the top two, you can smush them into, 2 points into a bullet point. So this resume that I built is an imaginary resume. This person's got 14 years of experience working kind of these different things. And again, look at that, right? I'm explaining all this stuff right here that I've added here, but I'm also just, you know what the person is based on this line, right? And so if I'm spending 6 seconds and I'm looking for an auto adjuster with a little bit of experience, I look at this line. This line right here probably tells me everything that I need to know that I'm going to go forward with this person. Truthfully, I'm going to maybe look here and glance, but truthfully, if I'm looking for an auto adjuster with, I'm looking for an auto adjuster with 5 to 10 years of experience for this role. Let's say it's a claims examiner 3 position and I'm looking for somebody. I can read this line right here, and that's enough for me to know that I'm probably going to have a conversation with this person. Again, this is not saying I'm going to hire this person. This is just saying, okay, we're in the resume stack. Are we putting it in yes, or are we putting it in the no stack? Probably a yes if it lines up, right? So again, highlight measurable, quantifiable results. Inspected and estimated 2,500 vehicles in CCC Mitchell Autotex, then advance to managing 120 liability files at a time, negotiating 150 settlements per year while holding reserve accuracy. Again, you're dumping statistics on me about how awesome you are at your job. And it's not just like I'm awesome at my job. It's like, here are the facts supporting me being awesome at my job. And if you're an adjuster, you probably are held to pretty high standards in terms of KPIs. You probably have these in your claims management system. And so if you're able to, while you're still working at that company, pull those statistics periodically and look at them, because we love statistics. We love proof, right? And we're not getting it. You could be making this up, really. I don't know, but at least you're showing me that you care. Not saying to lie on your resume, but I think it's important to try and get these types of numbers if you can. Okay, and then last one, showcase how you're different. Your approach, communication style, attention to detail, compliance records, customer satisfaction, anything that sets you apart. Again, this is a little bit different than the second one, but known for clean reinspection ready files with low supplement rates, effective direction of defense counsel, and disciplined negotiation that closely aligns with authority while controlling indemnity expense. Okay. And again, we're going to take these off. We're going to delete these as we go through this. But this is a little long for a professional summary, but I like it. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. Moving on. Again, if you're just tuning in, we're going through resume top to bottom here. A little bit different than what we normally do. Totally open-ended. If you've got questions, drop them in the chat. If you want to just say hello, drop it in the chat. If you want to go over something specific to you, feel free. This is totally open right now. I'm just going through resumes because I get lots of questions about this. But if you've got questions, especially about resumes that you want to work through or situations very specific to you, feel free to drop it in the chat here. Okay, next section really quickly before we get into the professional experience, which I'd say is like the meat and potatoes of your resume, is this technical skills. This is where I'm going to differ from probably a lot of recruiters that you hear online or people that you talk about. I just want to go over one thing right now, a myth that I hear quite constantly. Oh, there's this magical thing called an ATS out there, and this ATS is kicking your resume out before recruiters even see it. That is not happening. That is a myth that does not exist. I have personally toured probably about 45 applicant tracking systems or ATSs in my life in the last 3 years. I use one every single day. It's called Recruiter Flow. I've used other ones. I've got a lot of experience using these products. There is not a product on the market that I could be wrong, but there is not a product on the market that I know about that advertises having a robot filter out resumes before it gets to a recruiter. What I have seen is different resume products offering a score where they say this matches X amount based on keywords in the resume, right? And so this resume gets a score of this. I've seen this in 1 or 2 products. I think they're trash. I think that if you're a recruiter using these products, you're probably using it to, you're still looking at all the resumes, but you're using it to triage what you look at first. But they're trash. I'm telling you, they're garbage. But they do not kick out people's resumes before that. Reading your comment, Bailey. So how can I best display my impact to the company as a claims adjuster? I see a lot of recommendations to add projects, but I don't have any projects to add to a claims adjuster. We'll get into this in just a minute. But I would recommend, as much as you can, trying to use numbers as to really talk about what you do. So your job is like most claims adjusters don't have it's not really like project based, right? Like your job is you get a pending queue of claims. Your job is to handle those claims within the guidelines that the carrier sets forth. So you're not going to necessarily have like, oh, I have this project, I have that project, but what we are going to be able to talk about is like how you were effective within the context of your role. And so different ways that people can kind of stand out or be effective within the context of their role as an adjuster. I think the easiest is managing like a high pending count. And so do you have any statistics about how many claims you were handling, your cycle times, what that looked like compared to your peers, your reinspection rates, things like that, what that looked like compared to your peers? Those are the types of statistics that I like to see. I love seeing how many claims you can handle. That's one of the things that is really happening in claims right now. Is whether the tools are getting better or not, we can debate that. But you know, in theory, the tools are getting a lot better and people are able to handle more claims than they used to. And so a lot of the feedback I get from hiring managers is like, I need someone who can handle a high pending count for this particular role. So if you can showcase that on your resume, that's one thing. Another thing that you can talk about, and we'll get into this more in a minute, is are there specific claims or specific instances where you can show that you had you specifically had a positive impact? Okay, I got this really complex, really messy claim, and I found this one piece, or I decided to pursue subrogation here, and we ended up saving a bunch of, like, the carrier saved a bunch of money because we found this piece and ended up subrogating, whereas, you know, someone else might not have done that. Anthony's chiming in here too and saying response times and communication skills. That's, yeah, exactly. Like, as a field property adjuster, one example that everybody wants, they're gonna want to know, or is your, you know, first off, your received to contact time is important because it's law, right? There's laws on that. But for how long did it take for you to receive that assignment to the point where you inspected it? And then how long does it take from your inspection to close? And how long is that whole process from you receiving it to close? Or sometimes you don't get to control the close. So how long from, you know, receive date to first report out? Things like that. It's those things are meaningful because, I don't know, that's, you think about like a hiring manager. Okay, I'm a property claims manager. I'm the one assigning you claims. And I'm picking between two people to send this claim to, or two people to hire. Do I want the one that inspects within 3 days, or do I want the one that inspects within 2 weeks? And sure, no one's gonna put on their resume like, hey, I'm garbage. I know it takes me, I got 3 weeks out. You know, I typically I'll inspect within 3 weeks. You know, no one says that, but it shows that you care. It shows that you think about these things if you put it in there. So those are some of the things. Metrics are great. And yeah, we'll get into that quicker, sorry, not quicker, but here in a minute. But to go back, technical skills. I see a lot of advice on the internet about technical skills and just putting a bunch of random soft skills here, because, or go to the job description and copy all the skills and put them in here, or go to the job description and copy all the skills and then put them in white at the bottom and then make it so it's invisible so the ATS picks it up. And don't do that. Don't do that. It doesn't matter. And it's pulling, that score is pulling from the whole thing. And so again, those scores are garbage. There's like 2 out of 100 companies that do this. It's not an automatic thing. It's not kicking out your resume because you don't have these things. I'm telling you, if there were companies that did that, they would be getting sued left and right for discrimination. Every company that's building these products knows that. And any smart company that's doing talent acquisition knows, if I have a computer auto rejecting people off of an algorithm that I don't understand, I am going to get sued for discrimination. One thing I do see, and I have used before, is, and almost every ATS system has this, is what's called knockout questions, where sometimes you complete an application and they'll ask you like 3 questions at the end. And if you answer incorrectly on one of those questions, it will automatically knock out your resume. That's not AI doing that. That's just, it's just, and those questions are a lot of times like, do you have 2 years of experience as a claims adjuster? Do you have an adjusting license? Have you used Xactimate before? It's very basic things a lot of times. And that's just to screen out someone that works at Walmart who's applying for a position that has 10 years of experience. Nothing against that person at Walmart, but they're probably not a fit for that job with 10 years of experience. So off my soapbox, what I put here on this section right here is just technical skills. Like I just do softwares and like hard skills. If you put that you're a great people person and a great communicator and a great leader on your resume, that means absolutely nothing to me. Anyone can put I'm amazing leader on your resume. You can put awesome communication skills, great negotiation skills. That means nothing to me. You're just putting words on a piece of paper. Show me in your professional experience. Off my soapbox. That's how I do that. Take very little stock in this section. However, certain positions do need specific technical skills. And so it can boost you if you're applying for a property position. If you're putting things like Xactimate, Civility, File Track, Guidewire, maybe you use CoreLogic's MS or like valuation tool, different weather. So like, whatever technical skills that you use that may or may not relate to this job, as long as they relate to like what you do, put them on there. Don't put soft skills on there. Okay, taking a breath, taking a breather. Meat and potatoes time. Professional experience. This is what I would say is kind of like the most important section. And this is where you're really diving into like what you did. And companies when they're looking at your resume, are trying to envision you in that role. And so one of the ways that we do that is looking at your previous experience to see if that kind of lines up. Am I looking for an exact match? Does it need to be 100%? Absolutely not. But I want to understand kind of what environments that you thrive in, how you've done in certain environments, to see if I could imagine you potentially in whatever role that I'm looking for. So again, this is a template that you can use. Please steal this. When I'm working with my clients, a lot of times I'm taking the resumes that I'm getting from people and I'm redoing it in this exact format, this template. So I know this template works. I've had 2 people hired in the last month that I've worked with using this template. So I know this template works. So here's what I do. Again, this is pretty self-explanatory. This first section, like putting your company name, putting your job title, city, state. If it's remote, you can still put like the city, state that the office is in, and then just put remote at the end. Make sure to put month and year. If you don't put months, I'm going to assume that you were laid off or something, or fired, and are trying to not really say it because you had a gap, right? If you're not putting months, I'm kind of guessing there's a gap there. And then I'm going to fill in the blank in my brain on what I think happened. And you don't want me to fill in the blank. You want to just tell me what it is. Okay. This next section is where I'm getting my money's worth as a recruiter right now. Very few other people are going to tell you to do this. I think it's like the sweetest thing ever. I love it when I see this on resumes. You're going to add a 1 to 2 line company summary right here. Briefly describe what the organization does, types of clients they serve, the scale, region that they operate in, and then add context if needed. So if you were recently laid off and you have a gap in your employment, a recruiter's going to look at your resume and say, okay, why is this person not working for the last 3 months? This is where you put why. And you don't need to talk long about it. You don't need to go on and on about it. But this gives you an opportunity to fill in those gaps that they're going to fill in for themselves, right? And so if you worked for TPA that just lost the Tesla account and laid off 3 dozen adjusters, I know that as a recruiter. I know which I know what TPAs that was, but not everybody does. And so you can put a little 1 to 2 liner in there about what the company was. Maybe you worked on, you know, hey, I worked on the Tesla account. And then at the end of that, you put in job ended in a reduction in force as the company lost the Tesla contract because they decided to bring it in-house. 1 liner. Now I totally understand you didn't lose that job because you were a bad adjuster. You lost that job because, you know, Tesla decided to go in-house with their claims team, right? It's just one example. There's a lot of different situations. You don't need to put why you left every single job, but if you have something like it's a contract assignment, or you left due to reduction in force, or you had to go take care of a sick family member, whatever that might be, you can put it right there and tell them exactly why without going too crazy into it, and then they're not guessing. So I love this section. I love seeing it when people have it. And then it's like also nice to know what, like, there's so many TPAs, there's so many claims companies, there's so many different companies that I maybe haven't heard of. Or even if you're like, it's State Farm, you could say, okay, State Farm is a national P&C carrier. Yeah, I know that. But then you can talk about like your specific team or environment. I worked in the weather WCCS, and you can explain what that is. Or you can talk about you worked HCCS or whatever, you know, whatever different specific team you worked on. Maybe, yeah, you worked hail, maybe you work weather claims, maybe you work daily, you know, talk about that here. Explain to me the little bit of scope, and you're going to talk about it more later, but it's a great little section. And then love seeing this verb, scope plus result, and then added context if necessary, framework to highlight measurable impact. So this is just a little framework. And here's something that you can do. Here's a tip. Take this resume template, stick it in Claude, put your other resume that you've built in Claude, and then ask Claude to ask you questions to help build better bullet points. And so use AI to help you. I mean, you're not using AI to do it all for you. You're putting in your inputs, maybe word vomit, like just turn on your speaker and word vomit what your biggest accomplishments at your position were, and then ask it to ask you for additional context, and then have you use AI to help build some of these bullet points. And especially if you can put this template in and say, use this framework to build based on what I already have, it will help improve your bullet points. So mess around with that. I'm not saying just put it in there and go, but you can use AI to help you do this. And then it talks, you know, measurable outcomes such as reduced cycle times. And that's what we talked about earlier. Reduced cycle times, improved accuracy, settlement results, audit performance, all that stuff. Think about what the hiring manager is expecting out of their team. You want to put some of those things on your resume. 4 to 6, 6 is a lot. 4 is also a lot. You know, if you worked a job for 10 years, 6 bullet points might make sense. If you worked a job for 3 years, you know, 3 bullet points might make sense. So you're going to kind of have to do what makes sense to you. Maybe you've only worked a couple jobs, you're going to add more bullet points. Maybe you have a ton of career history. So like your last couple might have, you know, 4, but then some of the later ones only have 2. So you're going to have to do kind of what makes sense to you. In terms of overall length, again, I'm only looking at this from 6 to 8 seconds. So like you don't need a 6-page resume, but you don't need to feel confined to 1 or 2 pages if it needs to be longer. So do whatever feels best for you. And then here's kind of a couple examples that I have in here. So delete this just like you should when you're creating this. And this is kind of what it would look like then, right? So this is kind of your first page of your resume. I made this up. Everest Claim Solution is third-party administrator specializing in commercial property and casualty programs for carriers, MGA, the self-occurred across multiple jurisdictions. We're on a kind of a delay, so you're typing in and I see it on the screen like a minute later. But thanks for tuning in, Bailey. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. I hope it's some help for you. Best of luck with your job search. Hope you get your first interview too. But yeah, and as you're working on your resume too, feel free to send me updates and send me what you got, and I'd be happy to provide any feedback for you too. But as we go on, this is kind of an example of what this could look like. I love seeing managing like how many pendings. It's always a question that hiring managers ask me. So if you can show it right away, that's beautiful. Talk about the types of claims you've handled, commercial GL. Again, this is in reverse chronological order. So your most recent is at the top. And notice something, this is super, super minuscule, super tiny, but this is present tense. I manage, I analyze, I direct. If you're currently working for a company, it should be in present tense. Well, however, if it's a previous company, you no longer work there, it can be in past tense, managed, negotiated, handled, closed. Very minuscule, but little details, right? So kind of going through this, talks about pendings, talks about different types of claims that you've handled, talks about exposure, day-to-day tasks. What I don't like to see here that I see constantly is things like people will be like, answered all phone calls within timely manner, handled all claims within the statutes of the state of Texas. It's just like, that is the bare minimum of what I expect out of you. I expect you as a claims examiner with 1 year of experience or a claims examiner with 2 weeks of experience. I expect you to answer your phone calls. I expect you to not break the laws that the DOI has set forth. It's just like the very, very bare minimum, and people will put that. That's not what this is for. It's not to put, I do that. So when I read that on a resume that you handle all claims in a timely manner, I'm thinking this is a bare minimum type of person. You want to put what makes you stand out here. Direct counsel. So yeah, talking about litigated files, talk about depositions, talk about settlements. That's big experience that employers are looking for. And you can use some of the descriptions on jobs that you see to help build some of this stuff. And another thing really quick I'll touch on, I see a lot of advice. It's like, hey, do your resume for every single job. You don't need to do that. You do not need to customize your resume for every single job. If you're applying for like remote, like vastly different, let's say you've got 5 years of property experience, 5 years of auto experience, and you are applying for property and auto jobs, maybe I would have 2 different resumes, one for property, one for auto, right? If I'm a salesperson and I'm applying for marketing jobs, then I'm also applying for like more sales type jobs, I might have 2 resumes, one for each. But I don't need to necessarily go in and update my resume based on keywords for every single one. If you're doing that, my guess is that you're applying to jobs, you're applying way too broadly for jobs. You need to niche down a little bit and really do some soul searching on like what you want. So then moving on a little bit, this is an example of how you can do this if you have to show a progression throughout a company. Now this little line here kind of makes it a little awkward as compared to like the traditional without this on how to do this. But if you worked at a company for 5 years and got promoted, you want to show that in your resume because it's a good sign. Employers like to see progression. I'd love to see that if you worked for a company and you got 2 promotions in a matter of 6 years. I think that's really great, and it shows a lot about your dedication and your ability to kind of stand out at work. And so you want to showcase that on your resume. But this is a good example of just how to do that. You put the company here, you put your little description, and then you put your most recent position, and then you put this one, and you can put bullet points for each. You don't have to necessarily put bullet points on all of them. It's kind of up to you. But I just wanted to showcase. This is one of the updates I made. It's just like how to do this because employers love seeing this. And so moving on, this last experience section is specifically for independent adjusters. And again, if you're just joining, this is more for full-time roles. This is not necessarily optimized for an independent adjuster looking for contract work. This is for someone who's looking for a full-time claims job, W-2 position with a company. There's some overlap. You could use this, feel free to if you want to, but that's what this is optimized for. But this section kind of shows, okay, if I was an independent adjuster, how to put it on your resume. One of the things that I see incorrectly done, or I don't like to see, is people will list out every single contract assignment they did over a matter of like 10 years. And sometimes it's like 15 assignments, and it makes you look like a job hopper. Obviously there's nuance and context there, but to someone who doesn't understand that lifestyle or that employment type, it looks a little bit weird. And so, yeah, I would expect people to know that, but I would just frame it like this. Instead of putting every single company you worked for, every single insurance company, every IA firm, TPA, whatever it might be, you worked for yourself. You're a small business owner. You're an independent adjuster. So put that. Put your LLC, whatever. You could put like your name. I just made this up. Crew Claim Services, Independent Auto Damage Appraiser from the years. And then you can talk about all that stuff below, right? You can talk about notable assignments that you did. You can talk about hurricane deployments. You can talk about types of claims you've handled, but you don't need to list every single one. But then I put, yeah, and this kind of talks about that. Put your LLC if you have one, or just you can even just put independent adjuster, and then you can talk about featured assignments, deployments below. This is how I do it. Independent auto practice contracted by carriers and IA firms for catastrophe and daily physical damage claims. Handled drive-in appraisals, flood total loss desk assignments, and field inspections from first notice of loss through settlement, writing estimates, and CCC Mitchell and Autotex. Again, that's a quick little summary. And then boom, bullet points. Operated as solo adjusting practice, contracting with multiple carriers, IA firms across CAT, deployments, flood total loss, daily field inspected, an estimated 2,500 plus vehicles, blah, blah, blah. Talk about, okay, notable assignment. I worked this hailstorm in 2012, the drive-in, wrote 20 a day. Also worked Sandy. You know, you can talk about that in your bullet points. It doesn't need to be all these different assignments. So that's how I would handle this if I'm an independent adjuster, kind of looking to move over, or if I already made the switch and I want to put that on my resume. Boom. That's what we got. That was kind of the meat and potatoes section of this professional experience. So now the very last section of the resume, this is kind of like the like you want to put this on there, but I'm probably not going to spend a whole lot of time. And this is more of things that I'm just like double checking, where it's like, if you've got Xactimate certifications, it's fantastic. A lot of times, like an exact level 1 certification is not going to be a deal breaker. Sometimes there will be deal breakers though, like licensing. And so these last couple sections are kind of flexible. You can mix and match these. If you don't have a ton of certifications and designations, you don't have to put that on there. Maybe you can put licenses and certifications in one section if you want. Maybe you're not in it, you know, professional affiliations, so you don't need to add those. But I just wanted to kind of showcase how you could do this. Again, you can mix and match these. You can put them together. You can take them out. You can add more. If you're an early career professional, if you don't have a ton of experience, you can do some more things here. You can go get lots of certifications to try and add things here. You can join professional organizations. So it's a way you can kind of beef up your resume if needed. But yeah, that's just kind of an example. Education. If you have a college degree, put it here. If you attended some college, you can put it here. You can just be honest about it. Don't put that you have a degree if you don't. They're going to catch that. Just put some college. This is included in most like cheap background checks. And so if you lie here, they're going to find out. Just don't lie. But yeah, you can put that. If you don't have a college degree, that's fine. You know, they might not require it. Don't put your high school on there. You don't need to put high school, just advanced degrees after high school. And then licensing, you don't have to put all your license numbers on there. You don't have to put all that information. We're going to double check that later anyways, but this is how I would do it, right? Okay, you got your DHS license on top, and then just list all your non-resident licenses, and then take out that comma because it looks bad. Let's see. And then, yeah, certifications and designations. You don't need to put, it has to be relevant. Don't put things that aren't relevant. Don't put your, I don't know, pet partners, therapy dog certification. I think it's awesome that you got your pet partners and your dog's therapy dog. Does it make sense within the context of this role? No, I don't care. So, boom. And then professional affiliations, again, like you can put that stuff on here. Your speaker at conferences, if you're super involved, love to see it. It can be a bonus. Is it a deal breaker? Probably not. But that's the resume template. That's it. You got any questions? Drop them in the chat. I've got a little activity here. If you're still tuned in, if you've made it this far, thanks, first off. Thanks for joining. Thanks for hanging out. Say hello in the chat if you're still here. But I want to do just a little exercise so you understand what I'm coming from when I'm talking about this stuff. Okay? And so here's the exercise that I want to do here. And it's going to take me a second to get this up. Back. Okay. It's going to take me a second to get back up. But we are going to imagine, I said it earlier, recruiters on average spend 6 to 8 seconds looking at your resume before deciding, do I want to talk to this person or do I want to move on? And so let's practice that. Let's see if this actually is in practice. Steve, thanks so much for joining. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you're having a great day. I hope it's sunny up there in Minnesota. Go Vikings. But okay, let's practice this. So what I did here, we're working on an imaginary role. So we're gonna put you in the shoes of a recruiter. I'm gonna see how you think about this, how you do this. We're gonna do this job together. So we're gonna create an imaginary job. What is my imaginary job? Remember. Oh no, that's not it. Okay. Okay. We are hiring for a claims adjuster 3 position. It is an auto position. It is at a TPA. The adjuster that we're hiring must have a designated home state license or a home state license, 4 to 5 years of claims experience, auto preferred, and they must have a license. I said that already. So we're looking for people with 4 to 5 years of auto experience. They're handling an auto desk. They're handling claims start to finish, FNOL, settlement. So we are looking for those adjusters. Okay, and you are going to be the recruiter. You are going to be the recruiter. And so I had Claude create 10 resumes for me. Again, this is only going to be as good as Claude is, but I've looked at these resumes a little bit already. And besides a couple, there's a couple things you're going to see and you're like, but a lot of this is like pretty accurate in terms of what I see. And so I'm a recruiter. I put this job on Indeed.com, which I would never do because I think it's garbage and a waste of time. But let's pretend there's a company out there that does that. And they get 200 resumes. We're going to take the first 10 resumes off that block. And we're going to imagine ourselves in the shoes of a recruiter, and we're going to go through these resumes. And I want you to tell me if, and again, the purpose of the resume is to determine if we're going to have a conversation with that person or if we're going to pass on that person. So typically how this goes, I'm a recruiter. I get applications. I look at the applications and I decide, okay, do I want to have a longer conversation with this person? Do I want to chat with this person? And then if I talk to them in that first recruiter screen interview, typically then if they pass that, I'll have a list of questions that usually I've kind of talked to the hiring manager about, right? And then if I screen more for behaviors and skills in that next interview, then they'll go to the hiring managers. This is just determining if I'm going to talk to them. So I'm going to say, I'm going to spend 8 to 10 seconds to decide if I'm going to spend 20 minutes talking to them. Typically, if they have the skills on that thing, I'm going to talk to them, right? And then if I have way too many people with those skills, then I'm going to take the best 5 or 6, right? Or maybe 10. So we're going to go through 10 resumes right now, as fast as we can, 6 to 8 seconds on each. And we're going to determine if we would move them to the yes pile or the no pile. And then I want you to think about kind of what I talked about within the context of this resume creation thing, why, and you kind of see some of the whys. So I thought this would be a good exercise to kind of see what I look for every day. Let's get it to it. Okay, first resume. Resume number 1. It's out of here. Okay, resume number 1. Automobile. Auto claims adjuster. Licensed multi-line claims adjuster with 5 years handling first third-party auto losses, TPAs. Licensed in 4 states. Claims adjuster 2 auto. I know it's a delay. I looked at that resume for 6 seconds. Is it the most beautiful resume? No. It's pretty good. It's short. It's not even a full page. Put it in the chat. I know it's on a delay. It's like a 1 minute delay. I'm talking to this person. This is going in the yes pile for me. Within 6 seconds, I'm telling you that's in the yes pile for me. Okay, let's do another one. This is super exaggerated. This is Chad Vortex. Get Chad. So I know this is like super exaggerated, but we see resumes like this. It's an obvious no. This is an obvious no. And you know that within seconds. Yeah, this is like a little exaggerated, the format, the colors, all that stuff. But I'll see these resumes, right? I know within seconds. Let's do another one. Hank Diesel. Oops. Right? This is what it's like. This is what it's like. It's not as deep as people, I think, sometimes like to make this out. 80% of the resumes that I see when I have a job posting on Indeed.com, this is what they look like. It may be a perfectly fine resume. It has nothing to do with the job that I'm looking for, right? Nope, I did that one already. Any bang. These names are hilarious. Shout out Claude. Again, it doesn't take 10 seconds for me to do a lot of this. You see it within seconds. Let's try this one. Porsche Cayenne. These names are awesome. Again, this is, I mean, I know these were built by Claude and they look a little bit funny. But this truly is what the job is like. I'm taking this within 3 seconds of seeing it. I know that I want to talk to this person. Am I hiring this person? Do they actually have the skills or behaviors or whatever that I'm looking for? I don't know, but I know enough that I want to talk to this person more. But you can kind of see how the way that these flow, just simple, basic structures with nice, like these summaries are so nice, especially when they're quick and to the point and not long paragraphs. Like this one's probably not as strong. Like I like this first one we saw, right? If I'm really nitpicking, I like some of these details more. Yeah, you are all, I know it's a delay. I know it's a little awkward, but you're all with me. I see it like you're all kind of going in this, we're all seeing the same thing. This is what it's really like. Made like cycle times. I love, like, this is probably the strongest one so far, was that first one. Look at a couple more. Since Claude was so nice. And this is a I talked about like the IA work. This is actually the type of stuff that I see. And I looked through this and I would probably talk to this person still. I would probably want to talk to this person because I see some really good experience in here. But here's like what I would say if you are this person and this is what your resume looks like. This is a perfect example of when I would maybe do 2 different resumes. And okay, you've been an independent adjuster for the last, let's say, 15 years. You put that in there as one job. You were independent for the last 15 years. And then bullet points, talk about your notable assignments, talk about your numbers, talk about big claims you've handled, talk about kind of those notable things. And then this is a perfect situation where it may make sense to have one auto resume and one property resume because this person's experience is a little bit Well, it's just kind of, you see this a lot where people will put the same thing over and over too. Like that's actually pretty accurate. That doesn't tell me anything. So I'd probably watch, I'd probably talk to this person because I'm curious. But if I'm comparing this to those other 2 yeses, this is not the top yes. But it really could be if they just communicated their experience a little bit better. So it's a good example. Thank you, Claude. That was number 4. Let's do number 5. Mason Steel. And yeah, it's again, quick no. They just don't have the skills and experience for what the hiring manager is looking for. So Sandy Fryer worked at Burger King. Claude is so good. Oh. But that's what it's like. That's what it's like as a recruiter. You get 150 resumes and maybe 3 are good and 95% of them look like this. So that's what I'm trying, and that's just what I'm trying to now take that same job, same everything, and stick this resume on there. Right? This person may have the same amount of experience as like one of those, maybe. But this resume slays. Right? Realistically, I'm reading this and I'm saying yes. I might keep reading because I'm curious. But if I'm for that same exact job, I get this resume and I read these 2 lines. This person is at the very, very top of my list. This is the first person that I want to talk to. But obviously I exaggerated. Like, this experience is fantastic, right? This is like the best experience ever, right? So I understand that it doesn't always look like that. And that's always what's going to trump it. But, as an adjuster, as a claims professional, you're expected to write reports. You're expected to do professional reporting, communication, all that stuff. And so this is kind of a reflection of that. And so think about it. Again, totally free. Send me a DM if you want this. Head over to crewtalentgroup.com, sign up for the Crew Talent Network, send you this resume template, 100% for free, no strings attached. All yours. I want to help you out much as I can. So yeah, if you got any resume questions, feel free to send me DMs. I'm here. Wow, that was an hour. I'll probably pin this to the top of my LinkedIn too, so if you want to come back and kind of look through this resume. But that is the resume rundown. If you've made it this far, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope this was valuable. I hope you learned something today. I had fun making this. Again, like, AI is such a great tool where you can take this framework. Oh, I deleted it. It's gone. You can take this framework, plug this into Claude, have it ask you questions, and have it help you build some of these things. I'm not the best writer. I'm not. I wish I was a better writer. I wish I was a better written communicator. But I use AI tools like Claude to help me even write, these. Like, did I have Claude just create this? Absolutely not. No, honestly, I've been researching different resume writers for years. Every time I see someone that has a free resume template, I get it. I see what everybody else is talking about, what other people are doing. There's a lot of really good resume content creators. So use AI to help you build these things, to help you improve your resume writing. Don't just have Claude create your resume. We're going to see through it, but you can use AI to help you use some of these frameworks to your advantage. So thanks so much for tuning in, Bailey. Really appreciate you being here today. That's all we got. Let's see. Quick update. Oh, we did You Play Recruiter. Yeah, so you kind of see what it's like. And then, yeah, just closing out the show today. We added Hannah to the list. Road to 100. We're up to 23 people. Shout out Hannah. We got a little trap horn for Hannah. Getting a new job right here in PDX. Shout out Portland. Shout out to 503. Shout out to all the vegan pizza shops and non-vegan pizza shops. All right, it's time to go. But yeah, this is why we do it. Every single Tuesday, we go live for 1 hour, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, 9 a.m. here on the Best Coast. We talk all things recruiting, jobs, careers, resumes today. If you made it through the whole hour today, really appreciate you being here. We'll see you next week. Have a fantastic week. Let's go.